ready to share what God has to say about nations and governments.
Amen. And so with all the chaos that's going on in the world and in the nations and in the governments and even in our individual lives, the Lord would have me to remind us a very simple truth out of the book of Psalms, chapter 9. And that is that the Lord reigns forever. He established his throne for judgment. He will judge the world in righteousness, and he will govern his people with justice. The Lord himself is a refuge to the oppressed, a stronghold in times of trouble. And those of you who know his name and who trust in him will not be forsaken, for he has never forsaken those who seek his name. Amen? So the three things the Lord shared with me concerning the nations and governments were this for the month of July. One, that I shall continue to cause a great unveiling of the masks that are worn by government officials. Two, that I shall cause there to be an affirming of the destiny call in the United States. And three, that I shall cause the cries for justice to be secured in my courtroom this month. Amen? So sons and daughters, know that there shall be an unveiling of the masks and the disguises that are worn by various sectors and members in government, from the lowest ranking officials to the highest ranking officials. And as I go about unveiling this, know that it is going to cause extreme chaos and disruption to take place within these sectors. But even through all of that chaos, my divine order shall come out of all of that. Know that this is also a month where I will literally trump the playing cards of the enemy. It's a month where not only the plans and the schemes of the enemies of every nation that is opposing Israel will be revealed and exposed, but it's also a month where I'm literally releasing judgment on the idolatry that is found in those nations that seem to have a form of godliness but deny the power of Christ in those nations. And that this is also a month where specific alliances amongst nations are being exposed for what they truly are, as nothing more than a farce and a scheme for them to come together and form superpower nations that will thwart, or that will attempt to thwart, that which I've already decreed from the heavens since the creation of time. It's a month where countries in Asia, the Baltic states, France, Germany, and Russia will literally come to a fork in the road where they will have to decide which side of the fence they are going to stand on. Whether they're going to stand on the side of the fence that represents righteousness and justice, or whether they're going to stand on the other side. Two, know that in this month that I shall cause there to be an affirming of the very destiny call on the United States. For even as darkness continues to prevail, the very light of the face of Christ shall shine brightly upon the United States. For this is a month where there will be more instances to show that the U.S. is truly a nation that trusts in God. It's a nation that is under God. And it's a nation that is indivisible and that provides liberty and justice for all. For know that in this month, you're going to even see signs of nations that are literally jostling, just like Jacob and Esau did, for birth order rights. There are nations that are strategically trying to position themselves to overthrow the United States, but they've forgotten that I consider the United States to be a first son of nations. They have an apostolic mandate, and that they are leaders of nations, and their birth order shall not be reversed. Specifically, even during the G20 summit, you will look for specific handshakes, signals, strategic alliances that are being attempted to be formed as a way and as a scheme to coerce and to form alliances to overthrow the United States as a world leader. But know that those plans shall come to nothing. Know that this is also a month where more strides will be made in the fight against ISIL and the eradication of radical Islam. It's a month where there will be further indication of America as a watchman of the wall, as a watchman on the wall that is securing not only the borders of the United States, but also the borders of the nations at large. This is also a month where there will be an ever so subtle shift in the world's perception of the United States as a superpower and as a leader. And know that as the shift takes place, it is not even going to be picked up by the media. For such a time as this, I am allowing the media to continue to work on their own agenda, even as I let Pharaoh continue to refuse the cry for freedom. But know that there is coming a set time and an appointed time where even the media is going to have to bow down and recognize that the United States is one of the world's most powerful nations, is still the greatest leaders on the face of the earth, and they will have to formally acknowledge the resurgence of the greatness of the United States, as well as rewrite the story that's been told about what took place in the election in the past year. Amen? Lastly, this is a month where I shall cause the cries for justice to be secured in my courtroom this month. Know that this is a month that is ripe for dramatic shifts to take place that will secure justice for those nations, governments, and citizens that have suffered great injustices. And know that as the king, that I still sit on the throne and that I am not deaf, neither am I dumb. And so know that even within the refugee crisis in the Baltic regions, know that I have heard your cry and that I am releasing justice to you. This is not a month for you to settle or to stop short of that which you were pursuing, for this is a month where literally chapters in the books of nations and governments are being fulfilled. This is also a month where key insights and divine strategies are going to be released to prophetic voices. It's a month where victories will be attained not by the might of one's, not by the size of one's army, but by the sight of the prophetic voices that we have today. It's a time where key leaders in government will not move on specific initiatives until they have heard from the voice of the prophet. For in this hour, I am going to reveal key insights, strategies, visions that will come through the mouths of the prophets that will provide counsel and guidance as to what key strategic leaders are supposed to do in this day and in this hour. And know that I will release visions and insights that will advance the cause against ISIL, and that will unmask terroristic plots and schemes that are even being plotted as we speak. Lastly, know that this is a month for those that have a gift of intercession. It's a month for you to turn the heat up on your prayers and to secure guaranteed victories against your adversary. For far too many of you have been battling long, but battling with the wrong strategy. And so know that even as the books of nations are being fulfilled this month, know that individual books are also ripe to be fulfilled for those that have the right warfare strategy. Amen? If we would, let's stand and do some declarations. Say, I declare that this is a month that the Spirit of truth shall reign within the nations and government. That this is a month where false allies will be exposed, hidden agendas shall be made known, false allegations shall be revealed, and every plot and every scheme of the enemy shall be unraveled, and every nation under the sound of God's judgment shall take a stance for righteousness and justice. I declare that this month, as darkness continues to rise, Light shall shine even brighter. Forces of terror shall continue to be annihilated. Global perceptions of the USA's role as a world superpower and leader. Let's try that again. Global perceptions of the United States role as a world leader and a superpower shall shift in the right direction. And the U.S.'s destiny shall be affirmed and recognized worldwide in God's timing. Lastly, I declare that this month, dramatic shifts shall take place to fulfill the books in heaven and to secure justice for governments, nations, and their citizens. Amen.